If there was ever an anime that captured the pain of war and gives the audience a final blow, it has to be this one. This is a heartbreaking tale of two siblings, Seita and Setsuko, struggling to survive during the final months of World War II in Japan. The story begins in the city of Kobe during the height of World War II. Seita, a teenager, and his younger sister Setsuko live with their mother. One day, a devastating firebombing raid destroys their city. Seita hurriedly prepares to flee, helping Setsuko pack essentials. Seita tells Setsuko they need to move fast and instructs her to hold his hand tightly. They manage to reach a shelter, but their mother is gravely injured in the attack, suffering severe burns. When Seita and Setsuko visit her later, they are horrified by her condition. The burns cover much of her body, and her breathing is labored. Their mother asks Seita to take care of Setsuko, saying she is all Setsuko has now. Shortly afterward, their mother succumbs to her injuries. Seita hides the details of her death from Setsuko at first, trying to shield her from the harsh reality. With nowhere else to go, Seita and Setsuko move in with a distant aunt. Initially, she is kind, but as resources grow scarce and the war drags on, her attitude shifts. She begins to resent the siblings, criticizing them for not contributing enough and for being a burden. The aunt tells Seita that he is old enough to help out and accuses him of not contributing, while others make sacrifices for the war. Seita tries to keep his dignity, but the aunt's words sting. Setsuko, unaware of the deeper tensions, becomes increasingly sad as the atmosphere in the house grows oppressive. Setsuko asks Seita why their aunt doesn't like them anymore and wonders if they did something wrong. Seita reassures her, telling her not to worry and promising to take care of her. Eventually, after one particularly harsh argument where the aunt accuses them of laziness, Seita decides to leave. He and Setsuko pack their belongings and find refuge in an abandoned bomb shelter in the countryside. At first, life in the shelter seems like an adventure to Setsuko. Seita tries his best to make it comfortable, collecting firewood and cooking whatever food he can find. Setsuko delights in catching fireflies, using them to light up the dark shelter at night. Setsuko excitedly shows Seita the fireflies and says they are dancing. Seita tells her they are beautiful, just like stars. Despite Seita's efforts, their situation worsens. Food becomes scarcer, and Setsuko's health starts to deteriorate. She becomes malnourished and develops a rash. Seita, desperate, begins stealing food from nearby farms. Seita also seeks medical help to improve his sister's poor condition. A doctor informs him that proper nutrition is essential for her recovery. Desperate, Seita withdraws the remaining money from their mother's bank account to buy rice and watermelon for his sister and himself to eat at home. During this trip, he learns that Japan has surrendered, signaling the end of the war, and that his father, serving in the Imperial Japanese Navy, is likely deceased. Overwhelmed by grief, Seita returns to the shelter with food, only to find Setsuko hallucinating, weak, and on the brink of death. She hallucinates so deeply that she starts cooking dirt and rocks thinking it is rice. She even begins putting them in her mouth. Setsuko tells Seita she made rice for them and asks if he is hungry. Seita is speechless as the food in Setsuko's mouth is dirt and rocks. He almost bursts into tears seeing how bad her condition has gotten. He then feeds her a little of the watermelon and tells her to eat the rest while he goes to boil some rice. But when he comes back, the greatest shock awaits him. He finds her body pale, with the watermelon beside her. She has passed away from her illness and malnutrition. After a few days, Seita then cremates Setsuko's body, placing her ashes in a small candy tin she had cherished. Completely alone and broken, he wanders through the ruins of Kobe. He eventually succumbs to starvation in a train station, clutching the tin containing Setsuko's ashes. This anime totally broke me the first time I watched it, and it's a reminder of the cost of war.